trouble upon this people. Is this why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble upon these people. And you have not rescued your people at all. Chapter 6, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of this country. God says, look, this is it. He says no to you, that's fine. He's saying no to you, he's saying no to me. This will end now. So God's saying something big is going to happen. Something very, very big. Anybody see the movie 2012? Anybody? That's an awful movie, isn't it really? Well, okay. Now, it's all about this weird Mayan prophecy about how the world's going to end in 2012 in December, which, by the way, is pretty misread from the original text anyway in the Mayans. The Mayans have predicted a lot of things, and none of them have been true so far. So I don't know if you're hoping that's right. I'm not. There's a line in the movie 2012, after this big earth-shattering cataclysmic thing happens. The guy who's acting president at the time, he sees all this destruction, and he says, well, now they're in God's hands. As if they weren't when things were going well. We're always in God's hands. Not just when things are bad and you have to rely on him. We're always in his hands. It's always in his control. Don't even pretend you're in control. But then, the next thing that happens in the story is God decides, I'm going to send 10 plagues on Egypt. 10 plagues. These were harsh plagues. Every one of them would have been earth-shattering for us, and they each happened to the same people. Now, notice when you study this, we don't have time to go over them one by one, but notice when we study this, this is about, you'll read about it from Exodus chapter 4 to about chapter 14 is how you can really study this. But when you notice, all of these plagues happen to the Egyptians. Not one affects the Israelites. They're protected from this. Pharaoh has the opportunity to stop it, but he doesn't. Okay. The plagues are about like this. They're one of the biggest historical events in history. Not only the Bible covers it, but every major religion covers it, including the Quran. Spends a lot of time discussing these 10 plagues. The Muslim Quran. History. They're document upon document talking about these 10 plagues. Archaeologists have found evidence of 5 of the 10 plagues so far, and why haven't they found all of them? They're just not looking in the right place yet. These 10 plagues were a big deal. Now, this is how they went. This is just in list form. The first one, the Nile turned to blood. No drinking water, only blood. The second one, frogs. Frogs covered all of the land of Egypt. After the first one, Moses says, let my people go. Pharaoh says no. The second one, frogs everywhere, let my people go. Pharaoh says no. That's a theme. Third one, God says, all of the dust in the air will turn to gnats. So if you hate bugs as much as me, there are gnats everywhere, as much as there are dust in the air. The next one, flies cover the land. The next one, the livestock were stricken dead. The next one, boils covered their bodies. If you ever had one boil that's bad, boils were everywhere. The next one, hail fell from the sky and it covered the ground. The next one, the locusts came and they ate everything. And then the ninth one of 10, darkness fell everywhere. And you couldn't see anything. It was that dark. Okay, that's 1 through 9. Now, the question being, what's 10? That's when we talk about the beginning. We'll get to that. But you may ask, why did these plagues have to happen? Why? I mean, God can do whatever he wants, right? If God wanted, he could just say, hey, Pharaoh, how's this? I'm not going to mess with your people. How's this? I'll kill you if you don't let your people go. God did something a much larger scale, though. There's a part in this text where Pharaoh taunts God when Moses first brings this order to him. Pharaoh says, "Who is Yahweh, God, that I should obey his voice and let Israel go?" Now, here's the thing. He got very prideful about it. And he didn't think that he had to let them go. He didn't think it was pertinent because he had all these gods he worshipped. In fact, he thought himself as a god. So why listen to that God? Because to him, gods are a dime a dozen. Why listen to that one? What's he going to do? So what he's saying is, who is God that I should have to obey him? God should have to obey me, is what he's saying. Okay. Now, there's a twofold reason why this could have happened. One reason is that God showed his glory to two groups of people. He showed his glory and power to the Jews, because all these things were happening on their behalf for people who had been enslaving them and killing them for all these years. To the Egyptians, it showed, I'm powerful, stop messing with me. And by the way, that is God. I know we like to think of the cute and cuddly, puppy-loving Jesus all the time. God, that's not the only way God acts. God is perfect and just. Now, another little known fact. Each of these 10 plagues correspond with what they call the Big 10 gods of Egypt. Every one of them. They had a god of the Nile. They had a god of the dust or the earth. They had a god of the livestock. They had a god of every one of these. And they're ones they worshipped and they thought were great. And they did sacrifices to these gods. And every time this is God just saying, yeah, well, you're not really real, I'll do that. That was what God did. The god Ra, for one example, he's the god of the sun. God says, oh, you got a god of the sun? Yeah, I'm just going to turn that out for a while, and we'll see if he can turn it back on for you. Oh, he can't. Oh, I guess he's not there. That was God. That's what he decided to do. Now, another question. Why didn't Pharaoh just give up? And that's constantly debated. Why would Pharaoh just not give up? He sees all these things happening. He sees God's very capable. Me, if it were me, once the blood happened, I'd be like, okay, he's real. That's fine. We can do much worse. Why didn't he? Well, there's a big debate because there is texts that say his heart was hardened. But who hardened it? We'll get to that. But first, I'm going to show you some art. Okay? There's a couple paintings I want to show you. It's by a very well-known artist from Europe. Now, this first one is called Mother and Child. The child depicted there is actually the artist when he was a child. Now, just to be a little art critique today, anyone, what do you think the artist is trying to say by this picture? Somebody, raise your hand. Anybody? What is the artist trying to say?
I love my son.
I love my son. Very good. I love my son. Okay. Now this is a well-known painting actually, but the artist is even more well-known. The second one. This one is called Self-Portrait. And actually, the artist signed this one. Now, this is a picture that means a lot of things. One, it has him sitting on a bridge, but as you notice, the bridge is partially made by a fist holding it. Self-portrait. What is self-portrait trying to say, you think? Anybody? Well, self-portrait, for a lot of people, say it's just that none of us are really in control. Now, do you guys like these paintings? Are they nice? They're beautiful? Yeah, most people agree? Okay, the artist is a guy who, at age 21, he was at a crossroads. Should I go into politics or should I go into being a painter? He decided to go into politics, and his initials are AH. Adolf Hitler painted both these paintings, by the way. Now, you may say, how could someone with pure evil make things so beautiful? People aren't just what you think they are sometimes. Adolf Hitler, yes, probably pure evil. But beauty can come out of him. In the same way, those who you see as having total beauty can have pure evil inside them. Pharaoh is somebody who's known as being a historical figure who is nothing but evil, nothing but torment, nothing but hatred.